Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Andy Pedraza here at Special Effects Academy, and we're going to be starting our start of the week session for the week beginning September 2nd, 2018. Okay, so our usual agenda, we're going to be looking at the prior week, the currency strength meter, fundamental announcements, our major pairs, setups in progress, and parting words. Of course, Friday was end of the week as well as end of the month, so we'll be looking at the monthly results as well. So that being said, I'm just going to get started. So here on your screen is the long-term ledger. So this is our long-term account. We had three trades that were closed for the week. The USDJPY, we did close at a loss of 120 pips almost. That trade, the conditions behind it that made the reasoning sound when we entered it have shifted. So we decided it was best to close that to trade. We'll probably be re-entering it in the future in the same direction, but there was no use to allowing it to continue to go against us. USD Swiss trade was profitable by 150 pips. We took that profit as it retraced. We will also likely be re-entering that trade. And a USD CAD trade was exited flat also when market conditions shifted. We currently have a Euro Pound trade open long that was opened on the 30th. And again, long term, so we're going to let that one run until either we get a decent amount of profit out of it or market conditions change. In this case, the pound did do a retrace last week to pound strength, which seems to have fizzled out at this point, and we entered this trade at a pretty good position since our expectation is that the pound will continue to weaken. So we pretty much bought it at a discount, and that's about it. That was the rationale behind it. So that's the long-term account. The short term, we had 12 trades open for the week. 10 of those were closed. 2 remained open as of Friday afternoon. The week gave us 2.82% in growth, 72.6 pips weighted profits. Of the 2 trades that were left open, the euro dollar has already closed at profits on the market open. So it did do a bit of a retrace and took us out on our adjusted stop with a very small profit. The USDJPY trade long continues open as I speak right now. On your screen now, you will see the P&L for fiscal year 2018, which for us began in April. So this is our week-to-week short-term account profit and loss. Some of the weeks were losers. So you can see the weeks. I'm not going to bother reading everything out to you. You can see the week that just ended was 2.82% profit. I do want to make note of the week of the 5th of August. That was almost a 25% net growth on the account for that 1 week. So it was our best week so far this fiscal year. And then if you look to the right, you can see the monthly growth in profit. And you can see that thanks to that 1 week, August had an 18.56% growth for the account in general, which more than doubled the growth for the entire prior quarter. So Q1 did 9.19% overall in 3 months. August doubled that and then some. So August was definitely a month to remember. Hopefully, we'll have even higher months. But overall, as you can see, the account is pretty healthy, and the profits continue growing despite a couple of negative months there along the way. So those are always going to be unavoidable. We simply, that's just the way trading is. So no excuses there, no explanations. If you're going to be trading, you will have losing periods. But if you're trading the right way, you will see that over time, the account is simply going to continue growing. If it doesn't, then you're doing something wrong. You need to stop and figure out what that is and correct it. So there you have it. That's our short-term ledgers P&L. And for the long-term account, we'll be presenting that one next month when the quarter ends. So this is it for the short term. Every month we'll be showing you these results. Notes and opportunities for improvement. Well, again, it was a decent week to top off a very, very good month. August was our best month this fiscal year, as I mentioned, with the monthly profit actually doubling the last quarter's entire earnings. And this, again, is what trading short term is like when you're doing it the right way. You will always, at times, take a few steps back. You're going to have losses here and there. But also now and then you're going to have a great leap forward, which over time always means account growth. So, and one losing trade was closed out, as I mentioned, on the long-term account as the market conditions shifted away from our reason to enter that. On the short-term account, we did leave 2 trades open at the end of the week. Euro-dollar long, which, as I mentioned, has closed out less than an hour ago when the market opened. We took a very small profit. USD JPY long continues open, and both of them were at profit at market close. And right now, the remaining one, USD JPY, is still carrying profit. Relative strength meter for the week that just ended on the right-hand side of your screen. So we see that the Aussie had yet another terrible week. The Canadian was middle of the pack. The Swiss had a stellar week, 2 weeks now that the Swiss has appreciated against the other currencies. The Euro was also here and there, middle of the pack. The pound had a great recovery week, except everybody except the Swiss. The JPY also had a decent week, except for against the Swiss and the pound. The New Zealand had a poor showing, only beating out the Australian. US dollar was middle of the pack. Silver had a terrible week, and gold didn't do much better. We can see that the volatility has been increasing. It went from 2.46% the week before to 3.38% this week. So again, volatility, the amount that the currencies move against each other, has been rising consistently for the past month or so. Fundamental announcements for this week to come. It's going to be a very busy week. We're going to have the Reserve Bank of Australia's interest rate decision tomorrow night. So this is, despite it saying Tuesday, it's tomorrow night. It's at half an hour past midnight. So yeah, technically Tuesday, but for me, it's still tomorrow night. Tomorrow is the Labor Day holiday here in the U.S., so we will not be running the trading room tomorrow. No noon session, no 8 p.m. session. But I will be opening up the trading room at midnight to take a look at this, to live trade this RBA interest rate decision. So that will go out in the email. I'll make sure there's an invite for that fundamental. On Wednesday at 10 a.m., we have the Bank of Canada interest rate decision as well. That will be live traded, so we'll have that 9:30 is when we'll be opening up the trading room on Wednesday to live trade the Bank of Canada interest rate. And on Friday, we will be having, as usual, first Friday of the month, we'll be having the non-farm payrolls out of the U.S., but also we'll be having the net change in employment and the unemployment rate for Canada. So double fundamental at the same time, 8:30. This one will also be live traded. So I'll square away that calendar so everybody knows what times the trading room will be open, and I look forward to seeing you guys there. Other than Monday and these fundamentals I just mentioned, the rest of the week should be our regular schedule, noon and 8 p.m., with the possible exception of Wednesday. That 10 a.m. Live trade for the CAD, that will probably be our noon session as well. So Wednesday we won't have a noon session. We'll reconvene at 8 p.m. that evening. And with that, we move on to our major pairs. Did anybody have any comments or questions on what we just covered? Okay, and then moving on, euro dollar on the charts, we saw a nice recovery on the dollar after losing some ground. So the euro dollar is again trying to head downward. Too soon to tell whether this is going to be a new a new trend forming or it's just a minor retracement. So keep an eye on it. Pound dollar, as I mentioned, the pound had a decent week on barely good news coming out of Brexit. Very minor news, but the market seems to have been impressed by it, and the pound did some recovery. I'm expecting the pound to collapse again. So this may be a very interesting play for the week. USD JPY moving very sideways, not giving us too much opportunity. I'm expecting a drop in the USD JPY, but that may be a while coming. So we'll keep an eye on it, but there is no rush or no entry until we actually get one. USD Canadian is trending downward into cat strength very slowly and doing retracements along the way. So also one to keep an eye open for, but nothing presenting itself right now. USD Swiss, of course, we took a huge chunk of profit out of the USD Swiss this week, and we'll probably be re-entering this trade in the same direction, heading down. Aussie dollar, it's still continuing to head down. Not really trading this one. It tends to move in wild swings and can easily take you out even when you're right. So I'll continue to wait for this one to give us a better opportunity to trade, but it hasn't been cooperating too much. Kiwi dollar, same thing, very wild swings, moving steadily down just like the Aussie dollar. But still a very dangerous pair to trade given the volatility it has. Aussie Canadian, Canadian recovery, that's pretty much apparent in the daily chart. We haven't caught a good opportunity for a short-term entry, but I'll continue to look for one, playing it safe on this one. All the Aussie pairs are going to be a little bit hard to trade given volatility, but still, it's giving us some good directional bias. So also on the radar. Euro Swiss, it did a very, very nice retrace a couple of weeks back, and then this week collapsed again. It is testing the prior low, and we'll keep an eye on it, but it could go in either direction. Euro Pound, of course, we're already in this trade. You can see that sharp drop on no news at all. Well, they did have news, but it was really not impressive at all. Just the market took it that way. So I do expect this one to head back up, and we'll capture that entire chunk of pips if everything works out. Euro JPY hit the top of the channel that it's been following for months since early in the year. So that channel has been holding strong. You can see that it does go wildly in either direction, but it looks to be heading down now, and that may be the direction to trade. We'll look for some safer entries throughout the week. Euro Canadian, again, the Canadian has not had a good run. It has been losing ground against the euro. At some point, this may shift. The chart is still trending down, but it is in a retracement right now. So might give us a really, really good opportunity. Too soon to tell. We'll keep an eye on that one as well. Pound JPY also hit the top of the channel and seems to be bouncing down to test it. So this may be another interesting one to look at. I do expect the pound to continue depreciating, so this chart will likely head towards the bottom, and that is a nice chunk of pips that it has there. Aussie JPY, another bottom feeder, but in general, you can see on the daily chart that it is very sideways. So it looks like most of the drop has ended on this pair, but it is trying to make a move out. So also worth keeping an eye on this one. Euro New Zealand finally broke out of the resistance it was facing at the top of the chart. Maybe a little bit overextended now, but also another one worth keeping an eye on for at least the next month. And last but not least, Pound Canadian. The Canadian losing ground against the pound. Again, something I don't think is going to last. So this one will likely give us an opportunity to trade it down for quite a decent amount of pips. And that is the end of the actual charts. Setups in progress that I see. The dollar pairs, of course, cannot be ignored. The dollar is something that gives us a lot of opportunities, but the direction right now is very uncertain. So keep an eye on it, but wait for a good entry. The euro pairs, they're at 20-day highs in many cases, so we are looking for long-term entries, and the short-term is going to be case by case. The pound, you heard me say it before, I still expect it to continue losing ground, so that will be the bias for the coming week, indeed, probably for the rest of the year.
Can I
The
ask a
CA,
question?
absolutely, go ahead.
So the pound is 20-day highs, and you're looking for a short entry because normally that would be a signal to buy for you, wouldn't it?
The fundamentals always override the signals.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
fundamentally biased against the pound simply because of all the Brexit stuff going on and the shakiness of the British government itself. Theresa May is probably going to be ousted by end of year.
Okay.
And if
Um,
Labour gets in, that the pound is just going to go to crap. There's no gentler way of saying it.
okay. And the other thing I noticed, the daily chart, are you using the Ichimoku without the cloud? Is that the indicators you're using?
On the daily charts for the start of the week, I always look at Ichimoku.
Without the cloud, though?
No, I did have the cloud.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the cloud is, you can't get rid of the cloud. So yeah, I mean they all should have had the cloud. Yeah, it's just very lightly colored.
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, little
Yeah,
dots. Okay, got it.
yeah,
Thanks.
no problem. Okay, thank you for that. So the Swiss pairs, the Swiss is doing a bit of a recovery, especially against the dollar. So this might be what we've been waiting for. We already took 150 pips out this past week on a long-term trade. I decided to take that profit just to be cautious, but we're probably going to be re-entering that trade before all is said and done. And last but not least, the CAD pairs. This is going to be a very delicate week. Lots of fundamentals coming out for the CAD, the interest rate decision, as well as their equivalent of the non-farm payroll on Friday. So it'll be interesting to trade it, but it's going to be more of a fundamental week than a technical week for the CAD. Just keep that in mind. And our parting words here, the plan, you've heard me say about the plan. So always have a plan, follow the plan, and indeed be the plan. The first thing we're going to need as traders is a plan. And if you don't have a plan, it's like a ship without a captain. It's probably going to end up somewhere, but it won't be where you want it to go. And indeed, it might end up at the bottom of the ocean. So always trade with a plan. At least you know your destination. Doesn't mean you're going to be reaching it, but you do have the odds in your favor if at least you know what you're doing. And lastly, we're here to be a part of your plan. So anything you guys need, always let us know. We do have the Trader Accelerator program kicking off this week on Tuesday. This is going to be a self-paced study course. So no need to do schedules or anything. Just, watch it as you go along if you're signed up. Anybody that's already signed up for the ETP or our one-on-one mentoring will have automatic complimentary access to the Trader Accelerator. So you'll get your invite sometime by the end of day tomorrow, with kickoff being Friday. Anybody else, check our website for how to sign up or talk to me or Callum at any point, and we'll be happy to chat with you and help you out depending on what you want to do. And that's going to be it for me on the open of the week session. I wish everybody here in the U.S. a happy Labor Day. Everybody else have a happy Monday. And does anybody have any questions or comments at this point?
I do.
Go ahead.
I wanted to know, it seems like the Swiss never has fundamentals or is scheduled on the calendar. Is that true? And besides that, do you know why the Swiss is gaining against the USD? Is it all the trade wars?
No. Let me take that in order. So they do have fundamentals, but they're a very small and limited economy. Very strong economy, but they don't have a lot going on other than their banking, and I guess they make chocolates. So that is the bulk of the economy. But banking is definitely number one. They are the world's bankers still. So you're going to have that being the bulk of their economy. They have their interest rate decisions. So that's the one fundamental you'll see. I forget how often they do that. They're not frequently on the calendar, but you will see them there. You just haven't seen them in a while, which probably means they're going to have one of their interest rate decisions pretty soon. As to why it's gaining strength, the Swiss tends to move in a band that's about 500 to 600 pips wide. It's a sideways channel. The top is at parity with the dollar, around 1 to 1. And the bottom of the channel is around the 94 cents range. So that's 600 pips. It recently hit the top of the channel. Now it's going to be bouncing towards the bottom. How long it takes, no way of knowing. But that's why I've been looking for a good short opportunity for a couple of months now, because it had already hit the top. Once it hits the bottom, whenever it does, I'm going to be looking for a long opportunity, because that's what it tends to do, bounce between those two prices.
Okay, thanks.
No worries. Anybody have anything else? Okie dokie, then have a happy Labor Day. As I said, I'll get a recording of this out sometime tonight. Remember, no noon or 8 p.m. sessions tomorrow. It is a holiday here in the U.S. Doesn't mean the market's closed, but it means I am closed. So I'll be back at 12:30 in the morning on Tuesday. So actually at midnight. I'll be back at midnight tomorrow, midnight Tuesday morning, for that Australian interest rate decision. So that'll be sent out in the calendar. That would be 9 p.m. for those of you on the West Coast. So 9 p.m. tomorrow, I'll be opening up the trading room, 9 p.m. Pacific time, midnight Eastern Daylight Time. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you guys soon.